It's not complicated at all. Everything you need to know about the soundboard is right there. If you're working the board, you probably need to use the soundboard at least for choirs in the bell choir. Just if we don't have anybody specific on it. When you come in, you need to turn on all you need to do is turn on the board. And it says power. And it's right down here. And you push the button. It's just this one button. Everything should come on. Now last week we had a situation where somebody turned off one of these amps. So one part didn't work. Now we know that that's something to look for. None of us looked for one of these green lights not to work. Don't touch any of these other buttons, okay, because they just automatically turn on and turn off with the system, okay? That's the only button you need to turn on. All these red lights mean that everything's muted. You'll notice that these two pastors' mics are not muted because those are the pastors' mics that they use. Leave those alone. Lectern and pulpit are not muted. That means that they're in use. The contemporary people, they know what to do about unmuting and who's going to be using those mics. You don't need to worry about those. Lenny, Chelsea, they normally take care of that. But if the choir is singing, and it says this in here, balcony choral microphones, unmute when choirs or bells play. These are the hanging mics. And you just hit these little buttons right here. These are it says mute next to them. Is there anybody that doesn't know how to do that? Are all of you familiar with how to unmute when the choir sings? So I'm just telling you stuff you know, so I'll just mute them up. Also, especially during Lent now, we're going to be using the piano mic a lot, so be sure that that's unmuted. I usually let you know if we're going to use a solo mic, and I'll come over and unmute it if we have a soloist up here. Pastors' mics, how to. If you hear a microphone that needs to be made louder or softer, pastor's mic sometimes gets softer. Pastor Schneider is sometimes too soft. Look for a little green dot. That's the microphone being used. And just push the slider up a little bit. Don't play with the gains. And then let me know that you had to push it. And I'll come and listen for it. Okay? Just let me know if something's not working right, and I can come and fix that. Alrighty? Because the gains are these up here, and those are where you don't have to move them very much. You shouldn't have to move the sliders very much. So all you ever really have to worry about are sliders. Make sense to everybody? What if a microphone is not sounding? Check to see if it's not muted. Check to see if the slider is up. That's all you really need to worry about. Find me. Find me. I'm here at all the services except for Saturday nights and Mondays. But if something happens on Saturday night, please make a note. If you're working it on Saturday night, make a note for me on Sunday morning so I can fix it. Okay? Don't be afraid of this. Yes, you can touch it. Turn it on. Use the sliders. Unmute it. I've heard that some people won't touch it because they've been told not to touch it.
If you're getting feedback, what would be the first thing you do?
Good question. You're getting feedback. The first thing you want to do is get this master down. It says do not touch. Get the master down. If you get a lot of feedback, because you've got to stop that circle, okay? And then you probably have to figure out what the feedback's on. More than likely it's going to be on pastor's mic. So, feedback, slowly bring that back up and bring the pastor's mic down.
The more microphones you have on, the more feedback you're going to get, period, in a story. Okay? If you have too many microphones on, you're going to get feedback. So shut off the microphones that are not being used.
Yeah. Like these should never be on, but if somebody leaves them on, like if they get left on, the contemporary mics get left on, the organ starts playing, that could cause some feedback. But the first thing you have to do is get that main mic down, even though it says not to. And then slowly bring it back up. bring down the pastor's mics, because that's really all that's on, or the pulpit in the lectern. And then just slowly bring it back up to where you're not getting the feedback. But yeah, double check. Are the contemporary mics on? Contemporary mics are 1 through 12. They should be on no time except for during contemporary. And this, you don't want it to go up into the red. That means something's too loud. You know, you really want this to go up to like 4 or 5. And then it's getting too loud. So really listen if pastor's too loud. Make sure Pastor Schneider can be heard. Sometimes his mic is too soft. This is really the only one that I ever... Pastor Steinke carries pretty well, but Pastor Schneider sometimes gets too soft. So we kind of have to watch that. And don't be offended if I come up here, because I'm sometimes down there. It's not good hearing up here. Standing right here is a terrible place to hear. So if I'm downstairs and I'm in the middle and I can't hear, I might come up here and change it just because I'm in a place of hearing that's different than yours. This is just a horrible corner to hear.
Yeah, I always go in the middle of the balcony.
Yeah.
And I stand and I in
It
the
should
middle.
it should be downstairs.
Yeah.
It should be downstairs.
Yeah, it's just a really hard place to hear. The balcony is not a good place. You know, so I might come up here and just make a change just because of where I was standing. So please don't be offended. It's just, you know, and hopefully that would make a change that would stay standard, a standard change, and we can keep it there.
Sometimes it's different between services depending on how many people.
How many people? Yeah, if the 8 o'clock is full, and then the 9 o'clock is not, pastor might be really loud at the 9 o'clock or 9:30. So, yeah, so you just kind of have to use your own judgment and